You are inside a boat. Nighttime, maybe around Lekki or Ikeja. Music low, phone in hand. Then the car slows down. Police checkpoint. Torchlight inside the car. One officer taps the window. Where you they go? Next question. Unlock your phone. Now the problem. Most Nigerians don't actually know what police can legally do during a stop. Some people cooperate too much. Some argue aggressively. Both can go wrong. Because the truth is, police stops in Nigeria follow a system. Not always perfect, sometimes abused, but there are rules behind it. So today, we're breaking down exactly what happens when police stop you in Nigeria, using one example the whole time. You, inside that boat ride. Let's start with the basics. The checkpoint system. Police checkpoints are extremely common in Nigeria. You see them on highways, city roads, and sometimes random streets. The official reason is simple: crime prevention, armed robbery, kidnapping, illegal weapons, vehicle theft. Checkpoints are meant to intercept criminals moving around. That's the theory. So the boat car you're inside slows down. The officer shines torchlight, looks at the driver, looks at you. This is the first stage. Observation. They are checking for obvious red flags, suspicious behavior, stolen vehicles, weapons, or someone clearly panicking. Now, here's the key point. Being stopped itself is legal. Police are allowed to stop vehicles for routine checks. That part is normal, but what they do next has limits. Identity checks. Now the officer asks a question. Where you they go? This question sounds casual, but it serves two purposes. First, it checks your reaction. Second, it confirms whether your story matches the driver's story. Remember the boat example. Driver says, drop this guy for VI. If you suddenly say, I'm going to Ikorodu, now the officer becomes curious. So basic questioning is allowed. Police can ask where you're going, where you're coming from, your name, driver's license for drivers. These are normal checks. But here's something many people don't know. You are not legally required to explain your entire life story. Simple answers are enough. Short, calm, and respectful. No need for long explanations. The phone problem. Now we reach the most controversial part, the phone. Officer says, unlock your phone. This happens a lot, especially with young people. Inside our boat example, the officer shines light and says, bring your phone. Here's the reality. Police cannot legally search your phone without proper legal authority. A phone search counts as a digital search. Under Nigerian law and constitutional privacy protections, that usually requires legal justification or a warrant. But on the street, things don't always follow textbook law. Some officers ask anyway. Some people comply immediately out of fear. Others refuse and tension increases. The key thing to understand is this. Phone searches are not automatically allowed during routine stops, and that's where many conflicts begin. Now, the question. If it's not always legal, why do they still ask? Simple. Because phones reveal a lot. Scam chats, fraud messages, Yahoo activity, bank alerts, crypto wallets, dating apps used for scams. Again, not always legal, but very common. Inside the boat ride, you are just trying to get home. But from the officer's perspective, they are scanning for cybercrime suspects. Two completely different viewpoints. And that clash creates tension. Suspicion triggers. Now, let's talk about what makes police look closer. Certain things trigger suspicion quickly. For example, nervous behavior, contradicting stories, multiple phones, large cash bundles, fake number plates, expired vehicle documents. Imagine you have two phones. Officer notices. Now the conversation gets longer. Or imagine the driver's papers are incomplete. Now the stop becomes a document check. Little details escalate situations. Vehicle searches. Next stage, vehicle search.
Police can search vehicles if they reasonably suspect criminal activity. So the officer might ask the bolt driver, "Open boot." They check inside, looking for weapons, drugs, stolen goods. This is common on highways. For most normal passengers, it's just a few minutes, but it depends on the situation. The power problem. Now, we address the uncomfortable truth. Power imbalance. Police carry authority, weapons, and control of the situation. You are inside the boat, late at night, 2 officers, maybe more. Technically, you can say, "I'm not comfortable unlocking my phone," but the officer might not like that answer. This is where many Nigerians choose the safest route. Stay calm, avoid confrontation, leave the checkpoint quickly, because arguing law on the roadside rarely ends well. That's the practical reality many people face. Bribe culture. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, bribes. Some stops turn into what Nigerians call something for the weekend or anything for the boys. This happens when officers suspect minor violations, expired documents, seatbelt issues, vehicle tint permit. Instead of issuing formal tickets, informal payments sometimes appear. Why? Because it's faster for everyone involved. Not legal, but part of the reality in many encounters. Inside the Bolt example, the driver might quietly handle it. You may not even notice. 5 minutes later, the car moves again.
Sometimes stops escalate. Reasons include aggressive responses, refusing basic questioning, suspicion of serious crime, driver documentation problems. If police believe a crime may be involved, they can request the person follow them to a station. This is when situations become serious. At that point, legal processes apply. Statements, identification, possible detention. But most roadside stops never reach this stage. They end quickly. Observation, few questions, then movement continues. You're inside that Bolt again. Checkpoint ahead. Here are the simple rules many experienced Nigerians follow. Stay calm. Answer basic questions politely. Avoid sudden movements. Let the driver handle vehicle issues. Do not insult officers. Do not argue loudly. If asked to phone access, remain calm and respectful while responding. Most stops are short. Tension usually comes from escalation. The goal is simple. Pass through the checkpoint safely. The bigger picture. Police checkpoints exist because crime exists. Nigeria faces issues like kidnapping, armed robbery, car theft, fraud. Checkpoints are meant to disrupt those crimes, but like any system, it's imperfect, sometimes abused, sometimes effective, sometimes just routine. For regular citizens, understanding the system makes encounters less stressful. Knowledge removes panic, and panic is usually what escalates situations. Rapid recap. Police checkpoints exist for crime prevention. Stopping vehicles is legal. Basic questions are normal. Drivers must show vehicle documents. Phone searches are controversial and not automatic rights. Suspicious behavior triggers deeper checks. Vehicle searches may happen if officers suspect crime. Power imbalance exists during stops. Some encounters involve unofficial payments. Most stops end quickly. Calm behavior reduces problems. Understanding the system helps you navigate it. The roadside is not the place for long legal arguments. Final takeaway. Police stops can feel uncomfortable, but knowing how the system works removes a lot of fear. You understand what's normal, you recognize what isn't, and you move through the situation with more awareness. What you do with that information is up to you. If this video helped you understand what actually happens during police stops in Nigeria, hit like. Because the more people understand these systems, the harder it is for confusion and misinformation to control the situation.